Greetings, Lewis, and welcome to another video. Today is going to be a bit of a different video than I usually do. This is going to be a little bit of a lengthier video than what you're used to be seeing in this channel. What I have here in front of you guys are two boxes of Phantom Nightmare. Uh, One is unopened and the one is slightly open. These are two boxes that I earned from the Tropical Island Challenge, well, with the Centurion deck. What I'm going to be doing is before I do the box openings with the with the two booster boxes, I'm going to talk about the deck that I've been piloting as of late and my theory that goes behind it. Because I know that some people are curious on what are my thoughts when it comes to this current format and what should we do about the fire decks and what should we do moving forward. Uh, I might make more videos in the future going way more in depth when it comes to like my deck choices and this and the plans of actions that I have for the future. But as of right now, I'm just going to showcase you my list, talk about a little bit through and through. This is probably going to be the weekly deck report. If I end up going to locals tomorrow on Sunday, by the time this recording is Saturday night, I'll update you on how whatever happens with the deck or the strategy. But as of right now, this is currently what it is. So as you guys already know, Phantom Nightmare is already legal in the TCG, meaning that all regionals and top tier events and side events and local events are going to be playing under the list with the new cards. I did go to locals this Thursday and they did play on the Phantom Nightmare format, and I did top with this. Which kind of tells you that this deck or like non-fire decks still have a chance in the format. However, I am going to give a big disclaimer, and I'll go through on it when I go to a deck list. So my deck right now is this. It goes as follows: 3 Primera, 3 Trudea, 1 Emeth, triple Imseti, Happy, triple Crow, triple Valor, Nibiru, Magnamut, Druisworm, Lubellion. That's it for monsters. Spell cards, 3 Emblema, the best card, 3 Stand Up, 1 Bonds. That's it for the Centurion cards. I guess there's the Phalanx. Double Tomb, double Kingsark. That's it for the horses. 3 Talents, Called by, Terraforming, and Branda Regained. That's it for the main deck. It's currently 42 cards. Extra deck: Artemis, Dark SP, Chaos, Baron, Angel, Crimson, Calamity, Legatia, Busking, Dingersu, Vampire, Sanafond, and Crisis. Side deck: Droll, Flame Horus, Cosmic, Iron Thunder, 3 of them, uh, 3 Judgments. So I'm still playing Centurion. Basically, the ideology behind playing this deck over any other deck is I feel against any non-fire deck, I have a very significant advantage, and I figured on the first week of Phantom Nightmare format, not everybody was going to be on the Fire King deck or on like Snake Eyes as an engine. I figured there was going to be a lot of people that would be either A, playing Rogue, or B, playing a deck that just have a very significant edge in the format when people are too focused on like Snake Eyes and combos, etc. And another thing to note is during the first few weeks, there's not going to be like as knowledgeable Fire King players or as knowledgeable like Snake Eye players. So a lot of the people playing the fire deck would probably misplay easily, like with the strategy. And I did see that happening all across the room. But yeah, uh, another thing that I really like about the Centurion is that like I don't I don't advocate for playing like stuff like this in your strategy. However, in that format where a lot of decks are just really powerful right now and people are just trying to trade resources with like really potent engines, you need a deck or a strategy that just has a win condition that just pressures your opponent into like to respecting your cards. If people don't respect your strategy enough just because you're not playing Snake Eye cards, you're just going to like punish them by summoning something like red hot red Archfiend Calamity and just locking them out of the game. Against the non-fire decks, I have a very cool advantage, and I'll probably talk about that in another video. You're probably gonna see it throughout this week or the next week. But between DD Crow, Valor, Nibiru, and the Bestials, like a lot of other non-fire decks that are combo based are just going to lose to these cards. Like uh, I faced against Voiceless Voice 5 times throughout the week, and out of those 5 times, I've only lost one match. Uh, and I tied one match, and it was because of misplays on my end. Uh, every single game won against Voiceless Voice, I have won just because of them not being able to play around Magnamut and Diddy Crow because they don't like they're not respecting these cards in my main deck. And adding to that, like one of the games involves summoning Diviner. If you're playing against the Voiceless deck and they summon Diviner, you immediately Valor that because that takes a very significant advantage out of their engine. Like their Diviner is still level 2, so it's gonna make them awkward for them to ritual summon. Uh, they don't get the effect to dump the Trias, meaning that they won't have an avenue to get into low, and they already wasted their normal summon. So they're pretty much reliant on like having Saphira plus another monster to just like siphon into like their voiceless cards. Yeah, if you end up like negating the Herald, the Diviner. Just negating low is also very important. It makes it so like it's awkward for them to keep playing with it. And in the off chance that they do like end up like tributing low for a ritual summon, you just like punish them by just tributing the low with these cards. Just like banishing them from the graveyard. This is also really good against like other strategies. Against the fire deck, a lot of people are like thinking bestials are not that good. However, if you play against enough Snake Eye Fire King decks, you already know that some of their lines involve like summoning uh, stuff like Formula Synchron, IP Masquerena, Linkuribo, the Dark Charmer, the Bellstar Witch, just to name like a good portion of cards. So the bestials are not really that dead in the matchup. In fact, you can even catch them on an awkward position, like when they're trying to do like Flamberge effect to just equip IP to a spell and trap zone. You just Magnamut or Glorious Worm to banish it, and they lost their IP. Their Flamish already activated its effect, and they lose one interaction for your next turn. Uh, so in that regard, I really just like these cards. Against the branded strategy, which is another really popular deck right now, you pretty much prevent them from gimmick puppet locking you with these cards. This is also makes their branded in red and their branded in white, and their other cards like Guiding Quem. Uh, just to name a few examples, like very awkward for them. I There was one bestial player that like was almost doing super. They was doing super well the case tourney this weekend, and they were playing branded banishment, and that's another card that just loses to these as well. The other thing that made me like play the bestials is that they're not just hand traps; they are also extenders. So with the possibility of like making Chaos Angel and Baron, like that's enough value to hold like the bestials being in your main deck. And against the fire deck, at least against Fire King specifically, they don't play enough outs to Chaos Angel in their deck. Like you'll mostly see Imperm and some builds play Skyburn, but outside of those two cards, there are not really that many cards that just deal with Chaos Angel. And just having Chaos Angel and any other monster you summon after it be like immune to your opponent's cards is just gonna make it very detrimental for them. Uh, One card I really want to talk about that is in the side deck, and I'm going to say that card has overperformed and has done very well for me, is Horus the Flame Deity. I already made two videos talking about this card. Like I showcased the Orchest deck that I've been testing, and I also like just made a full overview talking about the Horus cards in general. I think Flame Deity is significantly strong when you go second. Like just putting pressure to your opponent to try to break their board just makes this card super warranted. And then if you pair that up with like stuff like triple talents, you you're outright just almost eliminating your opponent's board like outright, because you're pretty much leaving them on two choices. If they know you have the Flame DT in your hand, they're not going to commit into like getting rid of your cards. But that's also bad for them because it means that you can just get to Imseti and Happy, and that insulates your board. You pretty much put them on a position where they have to play into your cards. Otherwise, they just lose on the spot because you're applying way too much pressure into them. And that's where the Flame DT comes in, because the Flame DT just punishes them for interacting with your Horus cards. So overall, I really like the Flame DT. I think if you're playing any deck with Horus cards in it, you should really consider this in your main or side deck. Another card I want to talk about that I think is really strong is this one. I'll probably do a video talking about this card separately as well. But this is Iron Thunder. Like this card is very very powerful. Like for those who don't know, basically this is Infernity Barrier. However, whatever card you negate, your opponent loses cards that are in the same column as the card activated by this card's effect. I A lot of people misread this card and they thought it was going to be on the same column as the Iron Thunder itself. But no, the way it works is that you negate, and whatever you negate, you just blow up everything in the same column. A lot of people play into this card. I caught a voiceless voice player just summoning the Skull Guardian underneath like on top of where the voiceless spell card is, and they activated the voiceless spell card. I flipped the Iron Thunder and I just got rid of it as well as the Skull Guardian, just because people don't play around this card. Against the Fire King matchup, uh, it's also really strong because whenever they summon Sunlight Wolf, they will have something underneath the Sunlight Wolf. That's how they're triggering it. And this just gets rid of both the Sunlight Wolf and whatever's underneath it. You also can force players to just play right into the like extra monster zone by summoning something on your extra monster zone as well. So overall, really good card. I've only fl- I only resolved it twice, but I won both times that I resolved it. I actually I played one game against Voiceless and I lost in time when I flipped this card just because the opponent just had a very strong hand against mine. But outside of that, I think this card is phenomenal. I think you should really consider this card if you can play it in your side deck. So that's it for the deck. At the moment, will I keep playing this deck in the future? Most likely, yes. I think against everything that's not a fire deck, this deck actually does very well against. And the more important thing about this deck is little bit future proof. Uh, Once Legacy of Destruction comes around, there is going to be more support for this team. So that just makes it a little bit more bearable for you and in your strategy. Uh, in case you're wondering why these hand traps specifically, and not stuff like Ash Blossom and like Droll in the main, I'll start with Ash Blossom first. Uh, every single deck that these cards are strong against are decks that don't really lose to Ash Blossom. Adding to that, if you're playing against a fire deck and you Ash Blossom them, you're giving them the avenue for them to summon like Hita, the Flame Charmer, on you, and do the same thing we do whenever we're playing Dark, the Dark Charmer. So it just pretty much punishes me into them summoning the Fire Princess a little bit earlier than usual. If we just Ash Blossom in the incorrect cards, which I think that strategy is just going to be very resilient against. I did like the one Nibiru. I drew it. I opened it 3 times, and I think only one game I did not summon it, and it was perfectly fine. Something really cool that you can do is that if you have the Nibiru on board and you have a Fed Veiler in your hand, or you just top deck the Veiler, for example, you can normal the Veiler, and 11 plus 1 equals 12. So that pretty much makes either the Crimson Dragon or it can make the Crystal Legatia. So that's something very important to share. Overall, yeah, that's pretty much the deck. Like not much to say besides that. Now that we showcased like uh, the deck that we're playing, let's just open the Phantom Knight boxes, and we can just talk a little bit more theory while I'm doing that. So this box is already opened. Shout out to EJ Gaming. I had to give 6 boosters to fellow teammates, and they did pull one of the secret rares, which is the Black Goats Who Laughs. So in this current box, there's going to be one less secret rare. There are 4 ultra rares should still be in this box. So uh, let's see what we pull. Uh, Also, I want to give a massive shout out to Andrew. He's a fellow gaming team member. He made the top four of the case tournament that we played this weekend. So I might put in the community tab like his deck profile whenever it is up on the EJ Gaming channel. So stay tuned for that. So our first holo is the Ashen King. I really like the Ashen archetype. I already talked about it very briefly. The concept behind the strategy, I think, is very strong. However, we are missing a lot more cards. White Sardine is our second card. So I did see the Goaty deck being played. I don't think it's as strong as any fire deck at the moment. However, the Goaty strategy can play Dimension Shifter, and Dimension Shifter is a really really big deal for some games. I know there was one player that ended um, like XO1 in Swiss with Flowunderies, and I know that the white aura version of Goatee does not play Shifter in the main, uh, but that's not to say that these cards are not warranted. We see two Aromish cards. Uh, for those who still are on like in outside of the loop, these are the reason why the two plant link monsters like the Sunvine Healer and the Sun Avalon tree, the you know which one? They both got limited. They got limited because of this deck. I mean, or because of this engine. Because Shadows to Sun suggests there is a combo that just plays around three hand traps if you have every single thing, and it plays these cards. Uh, we have our first ultra rare. This is Karnat, the Eternal Machine. This card's pretty cool. I feel if you're just playing any dedicated strategy that is like a stun deck or like another like one of those type of decks like that, you can play this card. Essentially, the way it works is if a card is in your opponent's graveyard because it was activated that turn, so literally any hand trap, for example, you can just summon this card. If this card was level 8, I probably would have played it in the Centurion deck. However, it is not level 8, it is level 10. We have our second ultra rare, which is the Psychic Processor. I already made a video on this card. Yeah, just feel free to check it out on the channel. I think Psychic Processor is really, really cool for like rogue strategies. I think stuff uh, like Cosmo can mainly benefit this card. Sadly, this card cannot summon the Karnat because Karnat is a Nami. However, Karnat is very easy to summon. We have the Goblin Biker. Uh, I do really like the Goblin deck. If I can get all the cards, I'll probably keep experimenting with goblins. Uh, if you've seen my channel by now, you already know that I've made a Tistina version of the Goblin deck. I might do a more in-depth deck profile with it because I feel like it's still a very worthwhile strategy to keep exploring. However, since we're in a Snake Eye heavy format, speaking of Snake Eye, here's the dramatic chase. Since we're in a Snake Eye format, a lot of decks, like for example Goblin, are just going to be underlooked because as strong as the concept is, like that deck does not put Omni Negates, that deck does not put like any strong stuff, and it's just going to be pushed aside for by other means. We here have the hero, the Ashen City, and we also have the Voiceless Barrier. I think out of every single deck that's not a fire attribute deck in the format, I think Voiceless is just like the strongest one. I had people like write me in the comments saying what are my thoughts on Voiceless at the moment, and I might make in-depth like discussion on it, but there's not much to say that not many other players have already brought up. We have Sunset Beat. I think this is a TC exclusive. We can read on it together. If a face of monster is changed to face down defense, target one card on the field, destroy it. It's basically a card that works with flip effects or with monsters being flipped. One funny deck that can play this card is Flounderies, because the Dreaming Town can just set a monster's face down after you just tribute summon for Empen or Ryza. So, or the Avian. So this card also works with those. Uh, but yeah, that's pretty funny on that end. XYZ Force. And this is our third ultra rare, Rising Rebellion Falcon. Uh, I really like Raid Raptors as a concept. I see we also have the Cavalry right here. I really like Raid Raptors as a concept. I don't think it's the best XYZ deck. I think decks like purely just do a little bit of a better job than Raid Raptors at the moment, because Raid Raptors are reliant on like certain cards, and it is a heavy XYZ strategy, meaning that it makes it really hard for you to play non XYZ cards, especially if you're just activating stuff like Fuzzy Lanius, which hard locks you. Here's our last ultra rare. Here's the EMP Meow Mine. Really, really cool card. This card is pretty much made to work with IP, as well as SP. So if you can just make a link-based strategy that revolves around this card, I think this card is going to be very, very cool for you to resolve. One deck that comes up the top of people's head is Sprite, just because it's level 2. Here's the Wax. A lot of people have talked to me about this card. Shout outs to all my Chimera players that play in Titan games. Uh, like, I've had a lot of people talking about this card. This card would have been really good if it didn't have the condition that it negates everything on the next battle phase. Since it has that condition in itself, this makes this card significantly weaker than where it should be, and therefore not really that valuable as a battle phase trick card. Battle phase cards have just not been good in general. We spoke of Goatee a little bit earlier. Here's Pisces. This is one of the best cards in the deck now. It's always baffling how the OCG just always prints very, very strong support for TCG exclusive archetypes. Like Goatee for the longest time has not been very strong, but out of all of a sudden they just make a really good card for them, like this one, and now the strategy is like a lot more cohesive. Tears of the Afterroot. I think this card is really strong. Essentially, the way this card works is like it's a removal trap that can also get you to other terror cards. And one of the terrors that you can set is the Terrors of the Underroot, which is another removal card. So in a deck like Labyrinth, this card should be a good consideration for you. We have Keith, the Merc of the Goatee. So pretty much we pulled both Goatee cards, uh, like both the new ones. Really good support. Like Goatee is still like not a top tier contender. However, like the deck can play Dimension Shifter, and the deck can play like other really strong cards. So you just have to consider that whenever you see these two cards. Here is our last booster. If I'm not mistaken, we have not pulled a secret rare yet. And to my understanding, to my knowledge, like the other fellow team members only pulled one secret rare. And it seems that it's only going to stay like that because their last booster was Spirit of Jubel. Well, no secret rares. That's unfortunate. However, I am not too worried about that. Like, The secret rare that I wanted the most was Iron Thunder, which I already have in my playset. The Black Ghost Who Laughs is another card that would have been good to have, but we can work around that in the future. Uh, I do like the Jubel support. I think Jubel is a really cool theme. I already made a video talking about Nightmare Throne. Feel free to check that out on the channel. But I think post Legacy of Destruction, Fiend attribute decks are going to be very very cool. I think they're going to be very strong. I think there's going to be like an avenue for them. In the OCG, there was like Fiend Toolbox deck. They just played a few of the Jubel cards and just played a bunch of 0/0 monsters that was doing very well in the OCG. And we also have Unchained as a strategy. We also have like other Fiend strategies like Labyrinth. They are like not going to be as strong as the Fire decks, but eventually they'll have their own format. Uh, so yeah, that's pretty much it from on that end. Uh, Here I'm trying to open the second box. This box is sealed, so there's no way that we're not pulling a secret rare. At least at least I hope. Let's hope on it together. Um, but yeah, let's open this other box. Here we go. So, box number 2. Let's put it right here. So I guess I'll go. I already rambled a little, a bit talking about this set, but I guess I'll talk about this set while we keep pulling cards. Uh, I'll be very, very honest with you. I think we're going to have a problem in the future when it comes to like this set specifically, and I'll explain. So you notice how the chase cards from this set are mainly the ultra rares and not like the secret rares. Like the only real good secret rare that we've gotten out of this set is pretty much like the Ghost Who Laughs and like maybe one or two cards. Like the Flame Deity of Horus is very strong, but I don't think it's like a chase card by any means. It's not as strong as something like Imseti. Um, the Black Ghost Who Laughs is a really, really strong track card. I think it's like one of the stronger track cards that we have in the game, but it's still like not something sought after, like to a high volume. And there are no real fire cards that are like as they are taking the secret rare spot because I'm not gonna count the Horus one. So with our ultra rares, I also forgot about the Magic Spectre. I guess we can talk about the Magic Spectre in a second. But going back to my ranting, I think this set is going to significantly be less value in a couple of months. Uh, we got the we got two ultra rares in a row. That's pretty cool. Here's the Jubel fusion. So in a couple of months, depending on how our meta game goes, if it's just going to be dominated by fire decks, I think this set is just going to lose its value because the fire cards are not that hard to pull, meaning that after enough boxes are being rotated, we're just going to see like a lot of people already having the fire deck. And those who are not interested in the fire deck have to worry about the price tags on the cards outside of these boxes. Um, and that's not good because it pretty much means that this box is going to be held hostage by the quarter century rares as well as a few other cards. And vendors are going to lose significant value out of these cards after like their key players already have all the cards that they need out of this set. I'm mainly opening these two boxes because mainly for uh, to showcase on this channel and to support my local TS stores, as well as these were prices that were actually given to me. And it's been a long time since did price openings on this channel. Speaking of Ghost to Laughs, but yeah, this is like one of the chase cards that I was talking about. Let's see how this goes. But yeah, oh, here's Low, the voiceless voice. Uh, yeah, I almost forgot about Low, but like I feel like out of these two cards, outside of those two cards, there are not that many secret rares that people just want to pull. Um, but feel free to let me know in the comments afterwards. Samsara Lotus, that's another Jubel card. If you're playing the Fiend Toolbox deck, that deck does play this because this can summon Jubel, and you can do a lot of neat tricks like with Jubel and the Unchained cards, because Jubel is a Fiend monster and the Unchained cards mainly work with Fiend monsters. Um, Barrier, but that's enough from my rambling. Something new is this Magic Spectre cards. I do like the Magic Spectre support. I just don't like the fact that Magic Spectres are pretty much like a going first deck. Like going first, the deck is significantly strong because they do have a combo that can get them to Secret Village of the Spellcasters, and Secret Village is a very strong card. If you back that up with counter traps and like just actual trap cards, and the fact that your Magic Spectre monsters are just like indestructible, your opponent is just going to have a hard time just getting rid of them. Um, but yeah, another second processor. That's already two second processors that have been pulled so far. So that's really good. That's really good. Uh, if you're playing any deck that can play like psychic monsters or like plays like monsters in general, this is a really cool card to consider. I might build something in the future that's not named Cosmo with this card, but we'll see. We pulled another Carnet, the machine. Really cool card. Like if we pull a third one, we might do like who knows? Maybe we might make a deck out of it someday. Um, the Ashen City. So as of so far, we pulled the hero, we pulled the Ashen City, and we pulled the king. So we're only missing the priestess and the Baidos. I already got all the ultras and all the secret rares, so pretty much every single booster pack here is probably going to be just a super rare, unless we get lucky and maybe a quarter century might pop up. They're usually around 2 to 3 boxes, so um, there could be a 33% chance of us getting something. Rosalina. More garden cards. Brave Tricks. More Raid Raptors. Spirit of Jabel. And our last booster is, let's see it. 3, 2, 1 is Pisces. Another goatee. Alright. That's it for the box openings. We're already at the 40-minute mark. So I think I'm just going to end the video right here. I hope you found this informative to your liking. I know that I rambled quite a bit around stuff that just involved this format in general. I might do a more in-depth like talk along about like stuff that you should be doing whenever you're preparing for this format or the format that comes after this one. But until then, just keep practicing and keep doing.